massive amount of drugs, guns, and money seized in a multi-state bust in Washington and Arizona after a long investigation into connections between a white supremacist prison gang and Mexican cartel.
The concrete looked ordinary, cold, gray, lifeless. But when agents cracked it open, the floor exhaled. Stacks of bills, millions of dollars, spilled into the fluorescent light like something alive, as if the warehouse itself had been guarding a secret too big, too dangerous, too unreal to keep contained.
This was a joint investigation involving the Drug Enforcement Administration, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and Beverly Hills PD.
One agent later swore he felt the air shift. Another admitted his hands shook so badly he couldn't even hold the camera straight. Because this wasn't just money. This was power. This was blood. This was the financial heartbeat of a criminal empire stretching from prison cells in Washington to cartel outposts in Arizona. And it had been hiding in plain sight. Tonight, we dive into the largest cartel cash vault ever seized on American soil. An operation that peeled back the walls of a world built on drugs, violence, betrayal, and a level of sophistication that shocked even the agencies hunting it. But what agents found that day was only the beginning. Because this vault led them into a web of corruption, secret compartments, underground war rooms, and a government operation so deeply entangled with the cartels that even seasoned investigators were stunned. And at the center of it all lies a question that still haunts law enforcement. How much cartel money does the United States government already control? Chapter 1 begins now. The warehouse that shouldn't exist. It started with a whisper. Not an official tip, not a confidential informant, just a subtle ripple inside prison walls. A white supremacist prison gang, a Mexican cartel moving product across state lines, and a storage facility in Washington state that didn't match its own utility bills. For months, agents watched an unremarkable warehouse where nothing ever entered or left. No employees, no shipments, no forklifts, nothing but silence. Except the power consumption kept spiking. It was as if the building was breathing. When the Joint Task Force, DEA, U.S. Postal Inspectors, and Beverly Hills Police finally moved in, they expected a small stash. Maybe some cocaine, maybe weapons, maybe a few bundles of cash. They did not expect the floor to open like a tomb. Beneath the slab was a hidden chamber layered with steel-reinforced concrete, false walls, and motion-dampening insulation. This wasn't storage. This was a vault, engineered by experts, built with cartel money, operated by men who assumed no one would ever find it. Agents descended the ladder. Their flashlights shook. The first thing they saw was money. Not bundles, mounds, pallets of cash shrink-wrapped like inventory. Every corner hid something worse. Military-grade weapons, encrypted radios, maps marked with routes across the border, and even instructions for emergency burn pits, in case someone got too close. But the cash was what froze them. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions. It was the largest cartel vault ever uncovered inside the United States. And yet, it wasn't even the biggest discovery they would make this year. Because on the opposite side of the country, in a quiet Beverly Hills strip mall, another vault was about to explode into the national spotlight. And this one didn't just contain cartel money, it exposed the U.S. government itself. Beverly Hills, the vault of secrets. The strip mall looked harmless. A nail salon, a frozen yogurt shop, a private vault business promising anonymity and complete privacy. That last part was the problem. When federal agents raided the facility, they targeted hundreds of safe deposit boxes suspected of laundering cartel money. The charges were massive: drug trafficking, money laundering, conspiracy with high-level criminal networks. What they found stunned the world.
According to court documents, this business, U.S. Private Vaults, has been charged with conspiring to sell drugs and money laundering.
369 boxes held an $86 million mountain of cash. Millions more in gold bars, silver bricks, gemstone jewelry, luxury watches, and $1.3 million in Las Vegas casino chips. It was the kind of haul cartels dream of. Except the government insisted none of it belonged to the cartels. In fact, they didn't know who most of it belonged to. And that's where the story twisted. Federal law allows the government to seize property based on suspicion alone. No conviction, sometimes not even a crime. Agents opened boxes they weren't supposed to open, filmed contents they weren't supposed to inspect, cataloged valuables they were not legally authorized to examine. One elderly woman watched in horror as her life savings, 75,000 gold coins, vanished into bureaucratic chaos. The FBI said the items looked suspicious, but possession of money is legal. Owning gold is legal. Privacy is legal. So why take so much? Because some of the money did test positive for drug residue. But nearly every dollar bill in America carries trace amounts of narcotics. So the question became, was the government fighting organized crime, or quietly building the largest government-controlled cash pool in U.S. history? This case would ignite lawsuits, protests, and headlines.
Hello, Court and Glenn. That's right, that storage facility here in Beverly Hills behind me. It's called U.S. Private Vaults. It was raided back in March, and the FBI admits that its presence in this neighborhood is rare and unsettling for the community.
But in the background, another operation revealed just how deep federal agents had gone into cartel operations. And this time, the government wasn't raiding the money. They were laundering it. The inside job. Few stories sound more unbelievable. For over a decade, the DEA quietly ran a money laundering operation on behalf of a Colombian drug cartel. Agents and undercover sources moved cash, crypto, and drug revenue through banks and digital accounts, all under cartel orders. They transported bags perfumed to fool sniffer dogs, met brokers in parking lots, split bundles into dozens of accounts, shifted money into Coinbase, then into Bitcoin. They even used foreign banks designed for crypto laundering, all under the cartel's direction. The operation moved $19 million in drug proceeds, and after all that, only 2 traffickers were arrested. But former agents say the value wasn't in arrests, it was in intelligence. The DEA learned the cartel's methods from the inside, tracing every dollar, every account, every broker. But it also created an uncomfortable truth. The U.S. government didn't just infiltrate the cartel, it became part of it. Which raises a haunting question. How much cartel money flowing through American banks today is secretly controlled or monitored by federal agencies? And if the DEA did this for a mid-sized Colombian cartel, what happens when you scale up to the biggest criminal organization on earth? Because one cartel dwarfs all others, and their money didn't just pass through secret vaults. It passed through global banks. Money flow in the underworld. The Sinaloa cartel is a machine, a sprawling multinational enterprise generating up to $29 billion every year. Its pipelines run through every major American city. Its alliances stretch across Mexico, Colombia, Europe, and Asia. But its true power? Its money laundering system. Between 2007 and 2008 alone, Sinaloa and a Colombian partner moved $881 million into U.S. bank accounts. Their main conduit? HSBC, one of the largest banks on earth. Cartel couriers walked into Mexican branches carrying boxes of cash, boxes literally designed to perfectly fit teller windows, depositing hundreds of thousands a day. Anti-laundering systems failed. Warnings were ignored. Millions flowed across the border into New York accounts. HSBC earned massive fees. The cartel earned global reach. When the scandal broke, the bank paid a historic $1.9 billion fine. No executives went to prison, because when billions move through the system, the line between legal and illegal begins to disappear. And that's the world cartels thrive in. But before sophisticated networks, before crypto, before offshore accounts, there was one man who handled the problem himself, the king of buried money. Pablo Escobar, and his secret vaults still haunt the soil of Colombia. Escobar's buried billions. Escobar's empire made him richer than presidents. At his peak, he made $420 million every week. His personal fortune exceeded $30 billion. He had so much cash, he lost 10% of it yearly to rats, mold, and misplacement. He burned $2 million to keep his daughter warm. He offered to pay Colombia's entire national debt for immunity. And when money overflowed, he buried it. Barrels, crates, plastic drums, scattered across farms, swamps, jungles, and neighborhoods he controlled. Most of the men who knew the locations were killed. The maps vanished. The coordinates died with them. And billions sank into the earth. Some stashes resurfaced by accident, farmers striking barrels while digging wells, a nephew finding $18 million sealed in walls, police raiding old safe houses. But for every discovered stash, countless others remain missing. And those that have been found? They tell a story darker than anyone expected, because the treasures weren't just money. Some vaults held weapons. Some held documents naming corrupt officials. And some contained bodies, shallow graves, intertwined with cash, guns, and bones. A silent archive of Escobar's reign of terror. But what makes Escobar's fortune truly terrifying is not just what's buried. It's what continues to surface, and how his money still affects entire communities, 3 decades after his death. The ghost economy. In towns across Colombia, sudden bursts of prosperity raise quiet suspicion. A farmer buys a new truck. A tiny shop suddenly accepts old, worn U.S. bills. Families renovate homes overnight. Police know the signs. Recovered narco cash quietly feeding local economies like groundwater under cracked earth. Informal money changers, cambistas, trade deteriorated bills for a fraction of their worth, laundering Escobar-era currency into circulation. For some, these hidden stashes mean hope. For others, death. Because the old rules still apply: silver or lead, take the bribe, or face the bullet. Even decades later, cartel remnants claim ownership over Escobar's lost fortune. Hunters trespass onto old properties and vanish. Others stumble into traps left behind: explosives, pits, or armed guards waiting in the brush. And then there are the American hunters. Because Escobar hid money not just in Colombia, but across the hemisphere, including the United States. Where one final vault was found inside a Miami mansion, walls hiding safes, safes hiding secrets, and one safe disappearing before investigators could open it. A reminder that even in death, Escobar's reach remains mythic. And his money, his cursed, rotting, dangerous money, still shapes the world he left behind. But the most disturbing discoveries weren't cash or gold. They were the secrets buried with the money. The bones, the ledgers, and the truth diggers came for treasure. The earth gave them something else: bones, skulls, fingers bound in wire, bodies buried beside cash and guns. These weren't hidden to protect money. They were buried as warnings. In other vaults, police found ledgers more dangerous than weapons. Records of bribes politicians bought, judges compromised, police controlled. Names written in Escobar's hand. Proof that corruption ran deeper than anyone imagined. Some vaults even contained improvised torture rooms, described by former associates as soundproof chambers with hooks, drains, and stains permanently etched into the walls. Escobar's empire was a kingdom of fear, a world where money bought loyalty and violence bought everything else. But perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: time hasn't buried his empire. It has spread it. His money still circulates. His legend still inspires. His hidden vaults still call treasure hunters across continents. Because as long as billions remain buried, the search will never end. And neither will the danger. The shadow that never dies, from hidden cartel vaults under concrete floors in Washington to gold-filled safe deposit boxes in Beverly Hills, to government agents laundering millions behind closed doors, to Escobar's rotting fortune still surfacing in jungles and neighborhoods. One truth rises from the chaos: money never disappears. It only changes hands. Cartels lose it. Governments seize it. Banks move it. Treasure hunters chase it. Communities feel it. And the shadows of men like Escobar continue to stretch long after their bodies are gone. Somewhere beneath soil or concrete, in a warehouse or a jungle or a home you drive past without noticing, more money waits. And someone, someday, will find it.